Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove Case. Today, catching up with some recent conversations, discussions, answering any questions if need be, and giving my additional responses in regard to the video that I did in recent time. Amongst that, there's been other important discussions elsewhere in regard to the theme of vehicles, and that will be coming in the few days' time when I look over it and maybe apply it to the maps if need be. Welcome to those currently here during this live premiere. Could be a bit of a shorter one today, but be sure to let me know your thoughts in the live chat box located on the right side of the screen, and afterthoughts and questions down below in the comment section, and I'll look back at them later. If you want to support the channel, PayPal link is down below, pinned message by me. And to catch up on my previous videos and the full playlist of the Noah Presgrove case, that is top right corner up there. So without further ado, let's head on over to YouTube, the last video that I did, and acknowledge what people have had to say. Let's start off with the bottom, work our way up. There's a handful to get through. Lilia, waiting, watching. So welcome, well not welcome, shout out to Lilia for being present in recent time and enjoying the videos, good to see. What else do we have to mention here? Oh, here we go again. Jan Fiorillo says to Lilia, I have no idea where your sudden hostility towards me is coming from. Now, maybe this is to do with the live chat on the night, maybe, when people were about. But to be honest, this particular comment, what Lilia Pinton is referring to, is just to do with my live premiere before it's even aired. And this is what Jan has to say. It's a bit abrupt, but I guess this is to do with after what went down in the chat. I can't fully remember it all, to be honest. But for someone that says they have no part in this case, they want to keep a low profile, they don't want the name to be mentioned all over the place, they do a good job themselves, putting themselves out there quite a lot. So got to take that into consideration. But to do this sudden hostility towards me, where it's coming from, is this got anything to do with you being removed as admins, members on Justin's Army group, or Michael Faceca's case discussion page, or the Eyewitness group, or Trav Davidson's group? I had no involvement, no input whatsoever in whatever happened between you all. I was never a member in Trav's group, got the boot in the case discussion one over exposing the creep from Canada's DMs to me. I think Jan's referring to supposedly George Choden there, because they've mentioned that name in the past. Got the boot from the Eyewitness over adding missing details to the discussion over the pressy CCTV footage, and left the army over matters of principles. If I have unintentionally hurt your feelings or made you mad, my apologies. And what does George say? Jan, you were outed for your NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and your desire to own the Noah Presgrove case and push it as murder, whilst painting OHP as corrupt. People slowly came around and saw you for what you truly are and what you were trying to do. And in terms of NDAs, one of the test ones that was done in the background in private conversation was with Jan, maybe Justin, maybe Mike and some other people. And the test was to be labelling Robbie Taylor falsely as Jose or Jose, which made no sense. And it was kind of like misinformation. Anyway, Jan's calling George a creep from Canada. Please put together a post of how your obsession with my NDAs has anything to do with anything and not the nefarious BS twisted narrative you try to push. But real factual proof evidence. Please also include any proof evidence where I've desired to own Noah Presgrove's case. Maybe not own, but definitely put yourself on the forefront, considering one wanted to remain in the background. I've been asked to comment or appear on various podcasts to include Partners in True Crime and Read Trav's channel, Dr. Phil, A&E, newspaper, news programs, to which I declined. So Jan Fiorillo could have appeared on Dr. Phil. Okay. I have never one time called or messaged any of the investigators or witnesses. Is that what someone does who wants to own a case or story? I can provide proof, can you? I've never claimed or stated otherwise that OHP is corrupt. Please show me proof as well. There's a rich statement coming from someone who actually deep dived into Zachary Wright's personal life, kind of like you have mine. Do you know the difference between actual evidence, proof, and innuendo? Oh God, not the innuendos again. Is that going to be directed towards other people? And last but not least, please do show where I've... Okay, so it just goes on pretty much. Okay. Yep. Yeah, what's this? Hey, grade tenor, 3 times married by age, 24-something opportunist, Duncan Gossip Mag Starlet, soon to be on the 6 p.m. news. You got outed, now deal with it. You're the one who waited 3 months to plan your predatory attack on me with the help of Justin Roy and Michael Facecows, which ended sorely for y'all. Now deal with it. Sonny says, yeah, ref, that nurse comment was there, even a nurse, and who was she if there was actually one? To be honest, I think it's a load of bollocks, that part. This has nothing to do with the army page or any of that. It has to do with you lying to Noah's people about why exactly you made the offer you did. Just tried to bring folks out of the woodworks, just hoping one would confess. That was very deceitful. I was shocked you lied to the community for Noah, and now I trust nothing you say or the books you write. I don't give a fuck what you got booted from or why. You're a liar. You lied over to 6,000 people. Go on with yourself and do not respond back. I'm done with you. Well, Jan's always going to have a last word, or could. The only one lying here is you, Lilia. I've never lied about exactly why I made my offer. Prove that, of course. I hoped a witness would come forwards. That was the point. I have no control over if someone would confess or not. That's ridiculous and asinine, a statement. But would I hope someone would confess to their role in the death of Noah? Absolutely. I did not lied to the community for Noah. Prove that. Nor did I lie to over 6,000 people. Prove that. Do you know that making public statements such as these with the malicious intention to defame my character, known that you are doing so without an ounce of proof, its legal consequences? Right. So after all that, let's move on. We got Dean, Warlike Ref. I do not think there has ever been a mention of Noah's underwear or if he had socks on. Those two things are not on the ME's report, and that appears to be correct, yes. As for the socks, I've not seen any indication that Noah was wearing them. Yes, he was wearing his own shoes, but could he have been, without socks and just wearing shoes? Quite possible, especially when it's warm out there. Wouldn't surprise me. People can do that. But as for the underwear, no real mention of it. No indication of it either, because you can't exactly see someone's underwear when they've got other clothing on top. Now, how important is it? Well, if he was wearing it at the time or around the time of his death, well then very important, because we've just not heard about it. And if it's not been mentioned on the autopsy report, would that imply that they've gone missing, they've not been returned back? From what some of Noah's family says, the hat, the wallet, things like that never returned back. Or at least the wallet individually never returned back. Seems to be a consensus there. So you'd think the same would apply with underwear. But then again, some people could go without underwear but still wear shorts or trousers, and opposite gender, some may wear a bra and other people may not. It can be personal preference, other times it can be the weather. But of course it's always important to acknowledge any personal possessions to do with Noah if they haven't been returned, and more importantly if they have never been found. Right, so whoa, what's just happened now? I've just clicked on VMUN and Jan's comment has doubled. Am I getting double vision? I don't know, it's just appeared out of nowhere. John Doe, whoever you are not the first person to mock Christians or people of faith. I'm not affiliated with any cults, as you've claimed. I mean, okay, we can talk about God, we can talk about religion, but it was Jan Fiorillo in the live chat recently that said, Jesus Christ! I mean, what are we doing, calling the angels down to get the trumpets going? I don't know. But it seems like quite a few people seem to agree with what Jan says. Okay. Moving on. Because some of this isn't directly to do about the case. Not completely. You could say it's diverting away just a little bit. But guess what? The comments like this are still allowed. You see that? The comments are still public. It's always worth acknowledging that, considering people's attitudes as we've seen in recent time. Mitch, I agree with your comment in the live chat about accountability and why I questioned why Stevie, Bub, Renee, Caleb weren't willing to show the family their phone logs. Okay, we'll read this one because it seems to be more relevant. clearing any rumours that their kids called them for help before the 911 calls were made. Okay, yeah, I get that. So in terms of the party goers, if they're not willing to show their phones, or they didn't want to, or certain calls weren't clearly showed, displayed, call logs, kind of like the Alicia Lee situation, what we've seen ourselves in recent time, if you could get from the parents' point of view or friends of friends' points of view, if any party goers reached out to them for assistance, as in, oh, could you help move this body? Could you help clean up? Could you help us? Joan says, I also questioned why the pressies who came out to the public and stated they have records had not shown theirs, why I offered to pay for digital forensics on Caden's phone, why I also offered to pay for a polygraph for Kathy and Alicia over this alleged crime scene video, why I went to Kathy's office to get more details about what is on her phone, why I went to Donna Bond's house to see if there was anything to her stories about crime scene video and messages to her alerting her of Noah's death before the 911 calls were made. If there is something I cannot be transparent about, it's due to legal reasons and commitments to confidentiality, and I tried to break my word, or I promised and would not reveal something out of my commitment there as well. Doesn't make me a bad guy. Well, you're not a guy, are you? You're not a man, you're a female. Or intentionally withholding information. This is what I meant by you wouldn't understand because you don't know this. Yeah, I was not saying that to be disrespectful, I promise. Okay. Thank you for explaining this. See, yeah, we can have these apologies. We can have, oh, I'm sorry here, I'm sorry there. Do I get any apologies? Do I fuck? What do we have here? Mark, hey War, how are you? How about Kenny Veach? They found that creep kicking cans in the desert, crazy. What does that mean? Well, you have to go to my channel to find out. So, yeah, I think I do remember you, Mark Pearson. So, I guess welcome back in regard to Kenny Veach. Well, doing some little archived little short clips here and there to do with Kenny's hike, any references to grids, also references to the map itself, visually where Kenny would have been throughout his hike, or at least one of them. But in terms of Kenny being found, kicking cans in the desert, I guess you're referring to that other YouTube channel that was out hiking someplace else and came across a person that either sounded or looked or both like Kenny Veach, but it wasn't actually Kenny Veach, but it was still kind of interesting. Of course, I've done my own coverage in the past, 2018 being not at the time, but 2020 onwards, being the first person to cover the CCTV footage of break-in of a Reiki healing store, Enchanted Fires, which is run by Debbie and Raymond Veach, brother, sister to Kenny Veach, and appeared Kenny was breaking into the store, also limping about, just happened he had a left leg injury in the past, kind of ties in line there possibly, and a missed call in 2022, around the time of Kenny's birthday, and a missed call from Kenny towards sister-in-law Susan Veach. So, yeah, I've done my coverage there, obviously. Not everybody knows about it, which is unfortunate. And ever since, there's been supposed sightings, but then also we've seen that other BS claim, and it was really desperate by that fake Robin account when it came to what Kenny Veach caught on camera in India. Yeah. But we'll see how things go. It's all right here. Hope it is for you, Mark. And, who knows if any other videos come out. We'll see how things go. Clearly, Warlight Ralph isn't aware of the term dogging. And clearly, AJ Williams, you're not aware of the term or line sense of humour, but, it is what it is. And in terms of dogging, well, you type it in on the internet immediately, and what shows up is exactly what I've covered. And sure, people in the US may use dogging in other ways. Well, good for you, congratulations. And the off description by someone in the chat was about, oh, you keep getting me down, you keep putting me down, and on and on and on. Oh, what? Getting you down on the ground like a dog? Well, seems to time with the same wording at the end of the day. Oh, what's that? The downwards dog. Dog this, dog that, dogging in other ways. It all resorts to being on all fours. Simple as. Let's move on. Dean, you are taking Stevie Howard's bullshit, hearsay. You, as in what, me? Damn. Can't we see the so-called videos of Caden helping flip the side-by-side back up? Well, if it can come out, that's great. And if not, that's disappointing. People have waited long enough, of course. Should it be out by now? Does it need to be held back by police? Not too sure. If it's sensitive material, then I could understand it not being released immediately. But like the Mikey Lair situation and that snap finally being released, hopefully we see more patterns like that in time. And as soon as it's available, I'll do coverage as soon as possible. Time will tell, of course. Where are the videos for Noah eating? Caden has been very forthcoming with all he knows. But has he been? Because at crucial times where people have asked questions, Caden has not responded whatsoever and completely ignored it, even when there was hard evidence going against him. Now, did he choose to ignore it because he knew he couldn't respond back, because he didn't have an answer, because he knew he was wrong, or because of legal reasons, or because it was his own personal preference and choice? We will never know. But yeah, vocal to some extent, communication to some extent, but in the very early days, at least with that call with Anthony Linares, Caden's attitude was, I'm only going to talk to the people that need to know, not want to know. The ones that want to know, general public. The ones that need to know, authorities. Well, that did change with time, didn't it? Anyway, if you're interested in true crime, you should look into a young man that works for Ricky Dow Howard. Yep, that is Stevie Howard's cousin. Well, like Ralph, you would be amazed at the rabbit hole that just might be enlightening you. Everything is public information, like the Texas boys. Oh, guess what? Combs' daddy. I refuse to be quiet any longer. That video you did last night, Bub Wilcox in landowner, he owns a lot of land, including some of Texas. Oh, I have much, much more information, but I'm going to save it for later. Corruption is most definitely a thing. Oklahoma is infested with that problem. Right, okay. Shout out to Glenn, of course. Oh no, we've got Justin Boy. Oh look, they're getting ready to run with the he died in the side-by-side and the kids panicked and staged a hit-and-run scenario. I said this would happen. Less charges. Wait, hold on, Justin. Let's just try with they. Justin, who are you referring to as in they? Sounds rather vague. The reference of, staging this and staging that. Justin, you and others were the ones that were talking about this in the past. Not as in predicting that this would end up happening, but you were suggesting, this was the outcome of death. You kind of done that to yourself there. A bit weird. My problem with this, if Noah was really your friend, why would you let this go on so long? And why wouldn't 911 be called after the accident? Why didn't EMS dispatch an ambulance? Why create fake accounts, push a false narrative? Push a false narrative? Yeah, but there are people over time on the army page that were creating false narratives, false information, rumours turned into facts about Noah wanting a ride home, reaching out to his father Victor, and his own father Victor publicly spoke out or privately spoke out to someone, then passed the message on with the hard evidence to say Noah never called him. And yet people on the army page were pushing that as a fact. Yet the actual father of Noah said it didn't happen. So it's not a good look, is it? Why all the disinformation? Why commit 4 to 5 other felony charges if just an ATV accident? This makes absolutely no sense. But you could have an accident, an event gone wrong at the highway, along the highway, and the others present, the driver, completely unaware of what's happening to Noah at the time. So if people don't know about the accident, but you're present, you're not going to react. You're not going to call ambulance service or anyone. So that's another side factor to take in mind. These partygoers had plenty of time to tell the truth and do the right thing over a year ago. Well, didn't Katie Pressey as well have a long time with their phone analysis, data phone and all that to make it a bit clearer? I thought Noah was too drunk and needed help in the shower by 3 to 4 other people. 3 to 4 other people? Never heard that before. I only heard it mentioned about the likes of Jasmine and Carter, and that was pretty much it. So how did he walk 1.2 miles away to north, and the phone pings right by him, very very early on, yet they claimed to not find him. So many lies, deception from the very beginning. The truth should have been told from the beginning. And in response, someone says, Justin, you're an idiot. They did tell the truth from the beginning, and no, they aren't going to say it was an accident. They covered up by panicked because they weren't involved. Try following the evidence instead of making shit up. Maybe I'll start making shit about you, see how you like it. Sherry, questions which we all have. Based off a certain scenario, Justin's questions can be valid, but there are other scenarios and outcomes which don't make it sound as suspicious and can counter Justin's points. Different perspectives. TJ, I recently saw a crazy story about a woman who fell 33,000 feet out of an airplane and smashed into the ground. She had some of the same injuries as Noah, including a fractured skull, but her injuries were worse. Of course, 33,000 feet. What's crazy is she survived for over 2 hours before being rescued. Makes me wonder how long Noah was alive before actually dying. Okay, so 33,000 feet falling from the sky, hits the ground. What, a solid ground? Or what? No, she fell into a snowy forest. Her name is Vesna Vulkovic. I don't know all the details. Guinness World Record for the highest fall survived without a parachute. I remember reading about it years ago. Right, snowy forest. So it's still bad, of course, but the difference between Noah Presgrove and this individual is the hardness of the ground. Of course, you've got to take in mind, one thing that factors it out is the height, greater for this woman compared to Noah. But with Noah, it's a hard, solid ground. You got a snowy forest. There are certain things that can break your fall. Still, major injuries, but just break it a little bit. Oh, Justin says, don't forget, Brylan Sweat helped, Noah into the shower too? How do we know that, though? I know in the past it was a rumour that Brylan helped wash Noah down, but then we heard about the girls instead. But that was pretty much it. No hard evidence. Heard one of the Texas boys got really mad at Noah for that ATV accident. Wonder when he's going to tell the truth. What about being responsible? Is that what you mean, Justin? Of course, I questioned it in the past about, you got side-by-side rollover. You're the driver. People put their trust in you, and if they get injured, it kind of falls on you and your reckless driving that the odd person could have been pissed with Noah. At least how the story's gone since, and what's been mentioning Caden Pressey, very briefly, about the people laughing after the event of the rollover, seemingly not as bad, not as many grudges. Now, Leah says, you heard, or do you have proof? There's a difference. If it is hearsay, then it's just that, hearsay. Hearsay equals a rumour, and that is a major part of this case. Too much hearsay, too damn many rumours, so keep it to facts only. Why would he be mad? Well, if you're a passenger, you feel safe, you've put your trust in someone, the driver, they recklessly drive, you fall out, you may injure yourself, you might be hurt, you might be shocked. Yeah, you'd be a bit frustrated, you get a bit dirty as well. How dare they do that on you? He was mad at Noah for wrecking it. Wait, why would a Texas boy who does not own that side-by-side be mad at Noah for wrecking it when it belongs to Jack Newton? I don't understand that, Justin. Moving on. One day, I don't recall ever seeing Robin's comment regarding who was injured in the side-by-side tip over on Facebook. She can't tell you or anybody else anything factual about that. She was not there. Robin got her information from someone who was there. The screenshot in this video shows it. Me either. I don't remember. Yeah, Jasmine Milan and her mother Renee Milan went to see Noah's family, so did Caden Pressey. At what time, though? So is Jack. Not anymore, though, does he? Best friend my ass. The guilt of what happened that weekend, that early Monday morning, all of those at the party, those at the highway, upset Caden Pressey, and all those that stood by and helped cover this up in person or on the internet, and especially those that stripped Noah Presgrove's not only of his life, but of his dignity. I'm telling you all, keeping secrets hidden in that dark place where you all think things will stay hidden. Well, everyone, hot off the press, This is the last call for coming forwards, because this is not going to just go away. Starting with your centre mass, the deep bites will begin. Tick, tick. There was one person that really didn't want to do what role they had to play. The words, "Oh God, what am I doing? I really don't want to do this, but I have to. Oh God, please forgive me." Wait, what are we going into? We're going to a spirit session or something? Enjoyed the video, that's good to know. Michaela, the video traumatized me twice. What's your pet's name? What does that mean? The spider on the door. I'm not too sure. I wasn't aware of that spider on the door, but thanks, Michaela, for letting me know. It appears that it's not there anymore, so who knows where it is. Oh wait, Michaela, what's that over your shoulder? I can see something moving on you. Anyway, what else do we have? As you said, what happened to Noah's underwear after his shorts were removed? You have always wondered about the underpants. I've amazingly never heard, ever once in your videos, any discussion about the underpants. Screenshot of Robin Smith mentioning underpants is the first for me. Any discrepancy between Caden's report of only a bloody nose for Noah versus Robin Smith saying only a busted lip on a Texas boy would be that the screenshot that Caden saw or the video was not focused closely onto other passengers, so it might be true, but Caden only saw Noah's bloody nose. Well, that's the thing. One person says Noah had a bloody nose. Another person says Noah had a bloodied lip. There's discrepancy. Not a big deal, but for clarity, in the US, we say raw men noodles, not ramen noodles. Okay. Well, I'm not from the US. Us people elsewhere say things differently compared to people elsewhere. It is what it is. I had not seen or heard any of these stories that you read in the screenshots at Caden's. Okay. I'm hoping someone can confirm or clarify the following. Has Jack said what time Caden and the boys arrived at the scene? Jack arrived at 6:05. Oh, I thought Jack arrived at 6 in the morning and then 5 minutes later made the call. Then went back to the house for a few minutes before returning to the scene. What, when returning back to the house, was that to let people know about the situation? Caden and the boys arrived shortly afterwards, staying for a few minutes before being told to leave. Sometime after Caden's Partners in True Crime interview, Jack texted him saying Caden had the times all wrong because it was light outside when he and the boys had got to the scene, but sunrise was at 7:07 a.m. with twilight at 6:41. Question: how could it have been light outside when Caden and Presley and the boys got there, especially if they stayed for just a few minutes? I'm surprised Jack didn't ask Caden about seeing the black shorts, since that's a huge big deal and directly contradicts Jack's statement about the shorts. Sarah Long said after her arrival at the party house, she walked back outside and snapped some pictures of Noah's cooler before police could confiscate it, because I figured we would need those pictures down the road. Oh, planning in advance? Level of interest? Questions. Who was she referring to when she said we, the party hostess or the owner of the property? Why would the cooler be so important that she felt the need to document it so early on? And assume Ellie would want to confiscate it, when considering the police didn't search the house, party property, rather than her just putting it with Noah's other items to give it to the family. Sarah also said Ellie knows for a fact a vehicle was involved. Ellie knows for a fact his death occurred on the highway. Question: who told her these facts? And were they local Ellie or HP? There have been several Ellie-related leaks to civilians associated with witnesses, so who is leaking info during this investigation? It's worse when you got randoms and locals with the information and the latest scoop of stuff being leaked when the victim's family don't even get some of this material in the first place. It's kind of a bit backwards. But wasn't it Sarah Long that said 7 or 8 in the morning? That's when she came on down to wake people up at the house. Yeah, I'll just have to mention that briefly later. Dean, I say Stevie Howard is lying. Yes, I'm calling her ass out. If you cannot show the proof of these videos of Noah Presgrove eating and your BS about Caden helping with the Salvacide until these videos suffice, Stevie Howard, your credibly is shot. And Mark says, figure it out, whatever that means. Nice channel. I got to say I like this area. Well, welcome. Is this the last one? Yes, and oh god, it's another one. This one, John Doe, whoever you are, you're not the first person to mock Christians. Wait, wasn't this read out a bit before? I don't know why it's been duplicated. I thought I saw that at the bottom. Oh well, whatever. It appears that we have seen them all now. So it seemed pretty focused for most part of it within the comment section. I mean, the odd one talking about unnecessary stuff, but you to say a lot. But to refer back to like what I was getting at with Sarah Long, I'm sure it said 7 or 8 in the morning. Sarah came on down because Stevie was further away. Her sister had to come on down instead. Okay, fair enough. But the timing of it, 7 or 8 in the morning onwards, and waking up the likes of Caden Pressey. And Caden was saying, well, by 7 in the morning, he had already left the property because he was told to by Renee Millan, and so did Brylan, Mikey, and Isaac, all leaving in Caden's car and driving off. But let's just say they never left at 7 and they remained till later. What, 7:40? Close around that time of when the ODOT closed the highway, shut part of it off. So Ken did go on down, but then had to take a back road for it to make sense and timeline with the timing of when the actual road closure took place. But even if it was around 7:40, is that around the time of when Sarah truly showed up, or still a bit too early? How does that compare? Might have to look back at some older posts just to double check, see if it reinforces it or debunks it, and if it was any later, and if by some chance it was later when Caden had left, if he was and needed to be waked up as like with the other party goers. Was that worded by Sarah Long as in to alert them of the news of what's happened, of what's gone down? If it wasn't so much that, and it was just more so party goers are already aware of what's happened, but they went back to sleep because what else could they do? And then they were woken up by a concerned person like Sarah Long and say, look, this is what's happened. And they're like, yeah, we know, it's not good. That would make a bit of sense. But the reason why I'm questioning it based off that, because if people did remain at the house, and the likes of Caden did and some of the guys, and it had to require Sarah Long to wake those people up and alert them of Noah's death, then it kind of puts into question, well then what was Jack Newton doing? If like an hour or two passed by, and earlier Jack at 6 in the morning onwards was at the highway for the very first time supposedly, and then made it back to the house to let people know, then why an hour or two later would then Sarah Long have to come on down to alert people in regards to what's actually happened, as if they've not known and they're hearing it for the first time? I don't get that bit. One must be right, the other one may be wrong, or both are right, but one's giving an estimate which isn't clear enough and it contradicts the other person. Maybe. But I just wanted to throw it out there. As said, we'll look at some other themes coming up, maybe to do with vehicles, acknowledge and give credit to the people what they found, and see if it links in with any of the timelines or conflicts with it, and maybe apply it to the maps. But for now, I think we'll leave it there. Be sure to drop your comments below, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want to hit the thumbs up and share button, that'd be appreciated. My name's Wallite Raf. Goodbye. Good night for now.